Virginia Beach's police chief is speaking up for the first time about this past weekend's violence at the Oceanfront. More than 100 arrests were made and several people are recovering after a series of shootings, stabbings, and robberies along the Strip on Saturday night alone. 10 on Your Side talked with the chief today about whether the department was ready for the nearly 40,000 people who showed up to party. Andy Fox asked the tough questions about the department's response. Andy, what'd you find out?
Well, let's put into perspective exactly what the police are being required to do. They cover 40 blocks from Rudy Inlet up to 40th, and they do 4 streets back. That's 160 blocks from the boardwalk all the way back. 160 blocks. The chief said a lot of things went right on Friday and Saturday night, but there was a criminal element, and they are assessing what happened, and they are preparing for next year. But he also says there are some things that they could have done differently, and he told us about that during our one-on-one interview.
And we had a criminal element, and the criminal element did what criminal element does.
Virginia Beach Police Chief Jim Cervera has been on the beach force for 35 years. He was out with his top command Saturday night, was there when shots were fired.
Heard a gunshot, crowd starts to run, we moved in. You know, while other people run, police move in, we moved in, we saw individuals. There was a gun on the ground. We apprehended different individuals to get them away from the weapon.
On Friday night, Chief Cervera knew the crowds were larger than expected.
This is 10 times the size of the crowd that we had the previous years.
Immediately, the police force was beefed up for Saturday night.
We made sure that we had enough command staff present at the Oceanfront to make the big decisions, such as when to remove traffic from Atlantic Avenue, when to flush Pacific Avenue, when to stop any inbound traffic if we decided to do that.
And officers on the scene surgically removed the criminal elements they saw.
In other words, you have a large crowd of people, maybe you have a disorderly person, maybe we have a fight. Rather than deal with the entire crowd, we know how to surgically remove an individual from a crowd. The officers did a perfect job with that.
Chief Cervera credits that with keeping the number of incidents as low as they were. Were you understaffed Friday or Saturday?
Well, 20/20 hindsight. However, we staffed enough officers for Atlantic Avenue on those 2 particular evenings.
I asked the chief, in hindsight, what would he do differently?
Well, in hindsight, we could do a number of different things. We could plan to have additional officers on scene. But remember, there's a point in time where you can't have an officer everywhere at every time doing everything.
Yeah, and that's where the 160 blocks come in. Now, coming up tonight on Wavy News 10 at 6, we talk about social media. Social media and how it changes the way the police do their job. Chief Cervera talks about that, the role social media played and how that complicated the situation. And also the promoters. I asked him what he expects promoters to do when they're having these events. What does he expect them to do in informing the police exactly what's going on? That part of the story in our 90 minutes of news coming up on Wavy News 10 at 6. In Virginia Beach, Andy Fox, 10 on Your Side.